Hi everyone, so this is part 2 of my coat, my unicorn baby coat for a baby girl. And at this point, we're just going to finish the hood. And if you cannot find the part number 1, I will put a link into the description box so you can find it easier. So I will leave you at that. Good luck. Okay, so I have done my hood. It is all finished now and I can measure. I was looking for about 19 to 20 centimeters and I find the row. See, this is the first corner, so this was our first row, and I'm going to measure it from that row up, and I'm looking for my 19 to 20 centimeters. So with a tiny, this stretched out nice and even, it's about 20 centimeters. So this is good. Now at this point we can start sewing it together, and you have to pick the side that you want to show, because we will be sewing the inside of the hood. Whichever side you like, you just turn it in or out, whichever way you have it. I already picked one. I already even made one of my sleeves, so I have something to show you. And then when you have your good side up facing you, you're gonna have to put the hood together like this, so both the two corners. Oh, sorry, I never said what to do. So when you make the last row, I forgot to say that, right? Make the last stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn, leave it a bit longer. We will sew the hood with the same piece of strand, and we're gonna just pull it out once you have cut it like this. So next, right, put it together like this nicely. I'm gonna find my needle. Just like that. I'm gonna put my two corners together and I'm going to pull it out. This is going to be my good side. I turn it out the other way. So you see, so the hood is facing the other way. So this is going to be the inside of the hood. And I'm just going to find the first stitch. So this is where my yarn is coming out of. I'm gonna find the first stitch and I'm just going to whip stitch it all the way around. One stitch or one whip stitch into each stitch that I had. Don't try not to miss any, because you might end up with a little hole on the hood, on the top of the hood, and you don't really want that. But just like that. Don't pull it too tight, just so it's nice and closed in. And we do this until we get to the very end here, and I will see you right here. Okay, so I have stitched it up all the way to the back of the hood, and then I'm going to make a little knot here. I'm gonna go back into the same stitch. I'm gonna hold the loop and go back inside the loop with the needle and pull it tight. And then I'm gonna just make a few stitches back and forth, so I don't have to cut the yarn very close to the knot, just in case, so it wouldn't unravel for me. Back and forth. And I am going to cut my yarn right here like this, and then turn out the hood the right way, and this is what we have. It's going to be rolled back a tiny little bit, just like that. So next thing that we're going to do, we're gonna do the edge around here and create the buttonholes. So we're gonna start with making a slip knot. Leave a little tail, it will be easier to hide it after, or crochet over it. And we find that corner under your left hand, right here in the bottom, and this is where we are going to connect our yarn. Find the very first stitch wherever at the lowest point. Get your slip knot, pull it through, chain 1 and a single crochet in there, and we're gonna do a row of single crochets all the way around to the other side, to the other bottom side. So it could be a bit tricky because there are no stitches. We're gonna have to decide where we want to put a single crochet stitch. Just try to make it nice and even, so it's not too close and not too far one from another. Now I pretty much put in 2 single crochets in every row of double crochet. So 1 in the bottom and then 1 in the top of that double crochet. 1 in the bottom and 1 in the top. Bottom and top, like that, just like that, nice and neat. And then we're gonna go all the way around over the hood, and I will meet you right down here on the other side on the bottom. Okay, so once we do the row of single crochets, we need to figure out now where we're going to put our buttons. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the 2 corners, the 2 bottom corners, really nice and even together, sort of straighten it out, and I am going to roll back the hood a little bit. I just need to find that place for the bottom button where I want it. So I want it somewhere here. You see the way it folds around and falls nicely, and they sort of come together at this spot here. This is where I want my first buttonhole to be. So my buttonholes are going to be on the left hand side, and I'm going to put a marker where that hole is going to be, and I'm going to put another marker almost at the same place on the other side. So everything from bottom up to these markers are going to be just double crochets. After the markers, we're gonna do cross stitch, just to give a little bit more of that pattern. So, and then I'm just gonna do 2 more buttonholes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe. Have 6 double crochets in between. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that this will work. So these are going to be my buttonholes, and this marks where I'm going to start my cross stitch, and I'm gonna finish it here and start double crochets again for the bottom. So once we have everything marked, we can get started on it. So, whoops, my last one ran away. I'm gonna chain 1, turn around, and we will just do double crochets into every stitch until we get to that marker now. So double crochets, just like that, 1 in each stitch. So I'm gonna see you at that stitch marker. Okay, so I'm at the stitch marker. I'm going to take it out. So this stitch was the stitch that is marked, and I do 1 more after the marker, just 1 more double crochet, and I'm going to start crossing my stitches again. So I skip 1, we have already done that, so it should not be difficult. You don't have to do the cross stitch, obviously, if you don't want to, but I think it makes it I think that makes it look nice. And this is what we're gonna do until we get now to that stitch marker that is on the other side of the cardigan. So we just cross our stitches. Okay, so I'm almost finished with that cross stitch. Now I can see my stitch marker here. I need the stitch before the stitch marker to be just a simple double crochet, and then I only have one stitch left where I cannot do another cross stitch, so I'm just gonna finish it here with a double crochet and a double crochet before the marker. It doesn't matter, it's we just need that stitch before our marker to be just a straight double crochet and not crossed. You won't be able to see it here. It will not look any different. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out and my buttonhole. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a chain 1. I'm going to skip that chain, that stitch, and I'm just going to keep going and do double crochets until I get to my next stitch marker. Just like this. And I am at this stitch marker. I'm going to take it out. Chain 1, skip 1, and a double crochet into the next. Keep making double crochets, my last buttonhole. Like that. I'm at my buttonhole. I'm gonna take it out. 1 chain, skip 1 stitch, and double crochet. And now just keep double crocheting until we get to the bottom of the cardigan. Obviously you can have more buttonholes if you want to. This is just a very small cardigan, so I only have 3. And we get to the very bottom, and we're gonna have 1 more row of single crochets now to finish it off, like this. And my very last stitch, I'm gonna chain 1, I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna do single crochets, 1 into each stitch, just like that, all the way around. I'm just gonna show you what to do that with that buttonhole, just in case you don't know what to do. So just like that, I'm almost at my buttonhole. So I have a stitch here, and then my chain 1, and I'm going to put a single crochet just inside it, just like that. And I'm gonna keep going. So at this point, this is just a row of single crochets, just to neaten that edge nicely around. And then go again all the way over the cardigan and finish here in the last stitch. Now if you want, you can make here on the last, you can make a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet into the same stitch, and go on the bottom and do another row just to make these this part look nicer. Just add another row of single crochets. I will probably do that. It's not that difficult, so I'm not gonna show you that. I'm just gonna go all the way around, and in this corner I'm gonna do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and then I will just keep going on the bottom of this just to make it look nicer. So whatever you plan to do here, we're going to finish that, and then we are going to do the sleeves. So I finished the bottom. I did another row here just to make it nice and neat on the bottom. And I'm just gonna show you quickly how I hide my tails. So this is my tail lift from the last row. I just go on the side, inside, into the middle of a stitch next to it. I pull it out on the wrong side of the cardigan, and I just pull it nicely and just make sure that it looks really neat. And then I just go a little bit back and further on in between the stitches. and one more time, exactly the same, and like that. And I cut my yarn off. And this is how I hide my tails. I'm gonna hide this off camera later on. And now we can start on the sleeve. The sleeves is one of the most difficult parts to explain, because it's really hard to see everything, because it's a lot of stitches everywhere, but I will try to do my best. We will start with finding out how long our sleeves should be. So as I'm making 0 to 3 months, it's about 15 centimeters, and you can see the length of the sleeve for the other sizes. So I'm going to do my 15 centimeters, and it's a very good idea to write down what you did in each row, as it's not always that you can sit down and make both sleeves at the same time. Eventually you just forget what you did, and you might end up with having 2 different sleeves. So I write down everything I have done on my sleeve. So you see 10 rows of the main sleeve. So this is my 10 rows for up to there. And what I did was I decreased 2 stitches in the first row, and I had 30 stitches at the end of it. And then row number 2 and 3, I did not do any decreasing. I just had the same amount of stitches. Row number 4, I decreased by 1 stitch, had 29. The next 2 rows, no decreasing. Then again, 1 decrease. I had 28 stitches. 2 rows with no decreases, and my last row has 1 decrease. So every third row, we should do a decrease. So that will just make just a tiny little decreasing on the sleeve. And then when I make my all of the length of my sleeve, there's another 4 rows. You see, I have row 11 and 12 for me is one way. At this point, I stopped switching sides. I stopped turning it around. I just went one way. Then row number 13 is my cross stitch row, and row number 14 is single crochet row. So you should do the same if you want to be sure that your sleeves are will look exactly the same. So we take our yarn, make a slip knot, leave a little yarn, a little tail there, so we can hide it after. Take our sleeve. Now I had 3 chains excuse me, at the bottom of the sleeve. So I'm going to look for that very middle one. It doesn't matter where you want to connect your yarn, as long as you have a stitch here and a stitch here left. If you had 4, just try to one of the middle ones. Now if you had less than 3 chains under on the bottom, you will not be able to do a decrease here in the first row, just because we are going to use this first strand and the bottom of the double crochet next to it. So we connect our yarn just like this. I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna chain 2. Now at this point I need to determine which way I need to go, just to keep that the good side of the double crochet up and then the bad side of the double crochet up going. So I look at my last row that I made here, and you can see if you have a really kind of a wavy row, that means that you are the wrong side up, and your next row has to be the good side up. And if your row looks nice and straight like this, see the difference? This is really kind of a wavy here on the bottom, and this one looks much more straight. Then you need the wrong side of the double crochets up. Now, as I need the right side of them up, I am going to go this way around, to the left. If you need the other way, you turn it around, and you're gonna have to go this way, kind of looking at the inside of the sleeve. Okay, so I have 2 chains and I'm gonna start counting. I am going to count my chains. You don't have to count them if you don't want into the whole amount of the stitches, but I do. So 2 chains, and I'm gonna find that next, don't know how to do it so it's easier to see. I'm gonna find that little strand left over from my chains here, and I'm gonna put my hook in, catch the yarn, pull it out, have 3 loops. I'm gonna crochet 2. I'm gonna stop now because this is where I'm going to do my decrease. I'm gonna yarn over, and this is my double crochet, and I'm gonna do 1 in the bottom part of it, put my hook in, catch the yarn, pull it out. I have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. So I decrease. So counting my chain, I have 1 and 2. The decrease I count as 1, even though I have had 2 stitches crocheted together. So 1, 2, then 1 in the top of that double crochet, 3, 1 in the middle where our corner was, 4, and then I have my stitches here, and I'm just gonna do 1 in each stitch. So I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and now I have my corner here that was before when we were making the yoke, 28, 1 stitch double crochet into the top of that double crochet, that is 29, and the last 2 that I have, I'm going to crochet them together, the corner. So the bottom of that double crochet in, just crochet a half of that, yarn over, and I have 1 more strand here. I'm gonna catch that, pull through 2, and pull through all the rest of them. And this is my 30. So if I look up what I did on the other sleeve, I have the same amount with the 2 decreases in that row. So my sleeves are the same. And then this is my chain 2, so it's just hard to see. 1, 2, these are my chain 2. I'm gonna skip over them, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. We're gonna skip those chain 2 and just slip stitch, just like that. Now this is important. We need to figure out where we have to crochet and what we have to leave. So we're gonna chain 2, 1 and 2. We're gonna turn around, and if you look closely, there's our chain 2, and there's a hole here on that side, very close, and sort of a stitch here in the very beginning, straight under the chain 2. So we will only crochet into one of them. So as I'm going to turn around, I'm going to crochet in this side, because this will be in front of the chain 2 once I turn around. And then I'm gonna leave the stitch, or well, it is actually a slip stitch, I'm gonna leave this. I will never crochet into that, otherwise I will be increasing and my sleeve will be getting bigger instead of getting smaller when we will be doing decreases. So chain 2, I turn around, and like I said, have a look. Oops, sorry. So you see this, I am going to leave this, I will not do anything into it, and I'm gonna crochet my first double crochet straight into that here under the chain 2, and I count again just to make sure. So chain 2 is 1, 2, and then 1 into each stitch, 3, 4, 5, and I will just keep going until I come back right here. I'm at the end of row 2 here at my sleeve, and like I said, I'm not gonna crochet into that. If you're not quite sure if you should make a stitch or not, just have a look. You can see that the chain is actually connected to this. So this is already done. We are not going to touch that. Then we skip over the 1, 2 chains and go into the very first stitch on the top, and we just slip stitch. Then chain 2, we turn around, and there is no increases in this row. So again, I'm gonna remember this, I'm going to leave that, I'm not gonna crochet into that, and I'm going to make my first stitch right here into that little stitch in front of my chain 2. Oh, got me complete. Okay, so I untangled myself. So yarn over, and the first stitch goes straight under the chain 2 and double crochet, and just keep going, 1 double crochet into each stitch, and we should have the same amount of stitches as we did in the last row, just like that. Okay, at the end of row 3 again, we connect to the very top stitch here, not that we skip those 2 chains and just slip stitch into the top stitch. We chain 2, and row number 4 is a decrease row, which is really quite easy. We turn around, now we yarn over, we find that stitch straight under my chain 2 right here, put your hook in, pull it out, yarn over, pull through 2 loops and stop. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, put your hook in, out, go through 2 loops and go through all the rest loops. So we have decreased by 1 stitch, and after that we just keep going. This is how we will do the decreasing on the sleeves, so it is not that difficult. I have showed you already both parts where you decrease and how to not to decrease, and this is how you keep going and keep making your sleeve for as long as it needs to be. Now when you measure your sleeve, just measure it from where you have started. So if it's hard for you to see, look for the last hole in our yoke and just measure from that row that already the first one that doesn't have any holes, and just so this is how much of the sleeve I have now, and I need 15 centimeters plus I will do another 4 rows like I said, just 2 rows with no decreases anymore. We don't want to decrease on the cuff, on the rollback sleeve here at the bottom. And so this is the length of my sleeve, and after that these are extra, the 2 that I make, and then I will come back to you when I'm doing the cross stitch row, just to make sure that you know what you're doing. So remember, make all the length that you need for your sleeve, and then extra 2 rows of double crochets, nothing special, just 2 rows, and I will meet you on the 3rd row that the sleeve will be too long and we will roll it back. So I will meet you right here. So I am finished with my, almost finished with my sleeve. Now have a look. So I measure it. So this is my 15 centimeters of what I wanted for the full length of the sleeve. And then I have extra 2 centimeters or extra 2 rows over the length that I needed. This is for the roll back. So just extra 2 rows of simple double crochets with no decreases. And now I have 2 rows left. One row is cross stitch row, which I'm going to do now. So I'm just gonna find where I left off. I'm gonna chain 2, and I will just skip 1 and do my cross stitches all the way around, and I will just try to do as many as I can fit, in there in that row. And if I have a stitch left at the very end where I will not be able to make another cross stitch, I will just put a normal double crochet there. You won't be able to see that because that is going to be at the bottom of the sleeve on the downside, so you won't be really able to see that. So just like that, cross stitches all the way around until we get right back. Okay, so I had 1 stitch left, so I just made a double crochet at the end of it. And I'm just going to slip stitch into the first stitch on the top. So 2 chains and then the first stitch. I'm just going to slip stitch and chain 1 and single crochet all the way around. 1 single crochet into each stitch. That is our last row for the sleeve. Just like that. And we just keep going until we get back here. When you get back to where you started, slip stitch, chain 1, leave a little tail, a short one, cut it off, pull it out, and tighten it a bit. I'm just going to quickly sew in this end so I can roll it back and show you how it should look like. Just going in between the stitches. And I'm done. And I'm just going to roll it back. Just like that, make it nice. And this is how we make our sleeves. You can roll it back more or less depending on how much length you need it. You can, it's actually very handy, especially for the little ones. And this is how it looks like so far. Like this. Now at this point, I'm going to quickly do my sew in my buttons, and we will start on the unicorn. Just like that. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll come back and we'll start on the hood. Okay, so we're gonna start with the ears. This is how the ear, one of the ears looks like, and we need 2 of them. So they are a little bit tricky because they are small to make, but I will try to do my best. And the ear starts with a magic circle. Do this and just turn the yarn around, cross it on the bottom like this, and pull it up like this. See? Go with your hook under the first thread, catch the second one, and just pull it out and twist a little so it doesn't run away. Then you can take it off. You get to find your yarn and chain 2, 1 and 2, and this is the magic circle. You might be doing that in a different way, but now we're going to do 6 half double crochets into the circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now at this point I'm going to take my hook out because we need to secure that tail, that it doesn't run away straight away. We pull on that tail, pull it tight, take our yarn needle, and we are going to make a knot straight away so we don't have to keep pulling on that ear to secure it later. So just make a little knot, go back in through again, pulling it tight. Then I'm just gonna go in between the stitches a little bit so I don't have to cut the yarn very, very close to that knot. So like this. And I'm gonna cut it off now. So now we need to connect. Now this is the hardest part. So we kind of need to twist it or put it together in half. And then on the other side, we need to find the very first stitch. So it's not very clear here. So there's 1, 2 chains, and then the stitch, the very first stitch, like this, on the very top. And we do a slip knot, kind of a hard one, just like that. And we have connected. Now we do 2 chains, 1, 2, we do 1/2 double crochet just under the chain, we do 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, then we do 1 half double crochet into the next, then 1 again, and then we're gonna do 2 into the next, 1 and 2 half double crochets, and we only have 1 left, so 1 stitch and 1 half double crochet, like that. It looks like there's another one, but this is the one that I was talking about. This is the slip stitch, and we don't crochet into that. And then 1, 2 chains, so 1, 2, and the very top stitch. It's kind of hard to see. I have the cream yarn. We just want to create that nice little top for the ear, just like that. We are gonna chain 2, 1 and 2. We're gonna do 1 half double crochet under the chain to that very first stitch. We're gonna do 2 half double crochets into the next one, 1 and 2. We're gonna do 3 half double crochets by 1, 1 in each stitch. So I have 1, 2, and 3. Into the next, we do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, and after that we have 2 stitches left, and we put 1 half double crochet into each stitch, 1 and 2, like that. And we're gonna slip stitch again, 1, 2, the 2 chains, we skip over that and we find the very first stitch on the top, and we make a slip knot, just like that. So this is what we have so far. Now we're gonna do increasing, and we start with 2 chains, 1, 2, we do 1 half double crochet into the same chain under the chain 2, into the same stitch, sorry, and then we're gonna do 2 half double crochets. We're gonna do 1 half double crochet into the next, and then 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet, and 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet, and 2 half double crochets, 1, and we should finish with 2 half double crochets. Now I am finished with increasing on my ear. If you like, you can do more increasing in the next row or the row after, whichever you like. I like my ears to be really small and cute. So I just connect, I skip those 2 chains and I connect into the very top stitch with a slip knot, chain 2, and just 1 half double crochet into each stitch, starting with the one under the chain 2 here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 half double crochets all the way around the ear. And then again, I skip those 2 chains and I connect it with a slip knot into the very first stitch. Chain 2 and 2 more rows of no increasing. Like I said, you can increase if you like. You can increase if you put it like this. You can just increase, do 2 half double crochets on one side and 2 in the other, and it will keep increasing. But I am finished with that now. I'm just going to do this row with no increase and the next row, and my ear will be finished and ready to be sewn on. And you can make it longer as well if you like. I like them to be quite short, because the longer you make, the flappier they will be, and it will be harder for them to stand up nicely when you sew it on. So I have my 15 half double crochets again. I'm going to connect it on the top stitch, chain 2, and 1 more row. Again, I have the same amount of stitches. Almost finished now. And slip stitch, chain 1, and cut your yarn. Leave a longer tail, because this is what we're gonna use it to sew it onto the hood, and we just pull it out just like that. You see, this is the ear. Now what we're gonna do, we are going to create this little fold that it looks as real as it can look. I'm just gonna get my needle, and what I do is, have a look here. So I skip 1, 2, 3 stitches. I go into the 3rd stitch and come out on the other side just like that. You see? And I just pull it out and pull it nice and tight. Then I'm gonna go back where I came out of. I'm just gonna secure it. Like this. Then I'm gonna come out the other side, and this is my ear. Now, as you see, and I have 2 of them. I hope you were able to see what I was making. So as I said, you can make it thicker or longer if you like. And we're going to do the horn now. Okay, so the horn starts exactly the same as the ear. Twist it around, make a magic circle, and we're gonna make 2 chains, 1, 2, and 6 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm gonna take my hook out and I'm gonna pull on the tail as hard as I can, and I'm going to secure the circle. This. And like this. I'm gonna cut it off. And I'm gonna find the very first stitch. I'm just gonna put it in half so I can find the very first stitch on that side. So it's right here. I skipped the 2 chains and it goes straight into the first stitch and a slip knot. Now I'm gonna do 2 chains. I'm gonna do 1 half double crochet. In the next one I'm gonna do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2 into the same stitch. I'm gonna do 1 in the next, 1 in the next, then it is 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, 1 and 2, and then there's 1 stitch left where I put 1 half double crochet in. So it is 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochets, 1, 1, 2, and you finish with 1. And then we connect it with this slip knot like that. See? I hope you can see it well. It's pretty much like the ear. The only thing is we are not going to do that one row that we did a lot of increasing. I'm just gonna do 2 increases in every row. So 1, 2, 2 chains, half double crochet in the stitch under the chain. So we have 1 double crochet made. We make 2 double crochets in the next one, 1 and 2. Then we're gonna do 3 half double crochets, 1 into each of the next 3 stitches. 1 half double crochet, then 1 half double crochet, and then 1 half double crochet. And then I'm gonna do 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, and then there's 2 stitches left which get 1 half double crochet each, 1 and 1. So this was our row 3. I am on my row 4 and I'm going to do 2 more increases in this row. So 2 chains, half double crochet into the same stitch under the chain. The next stitch gets 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2 half double crochets into the same. Then the next 4 stitches get 1 half double crochet each. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. After that, we do a increase. We do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, 1 and 2, and then we just put 1 half double crochet into the rest of the stitches, which were 3 left. And if you have noticed, the increases I do is 1 increase on one side and the other increase on the other side, and that space in between, it keeps getting bigger within every row that I do my increases. So there were 2 half double crochet stitches in between the increases in the row 2, then there were 3 half double crochet, then it's 4, and you can do as many as you want. You want to get it bigger. I like it to be as small as this, so I'm not gonna do any more increases. I'm just going to do another so let's see, 1 2 3, I did 4 rows. I'll do another 3 rows of just 1 half double crochet in each stitch. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12 half double crochets, and I'm going to connect it. So that's row number 5. 1 2 3 4 5, and 2 more rows of just half double crochets with no increasing, which I will do off camera, and we can come back and then we will start sewing. Okay, so I finished my horn and I am going to connect it in the very top stitch, chain 1, and cut the yarn. I will leave the yarn end a bit longer so I can sew it on to straight away. And I'm just gonna pull my hook out, and I'm going to stuff the horn, which whatever you have you can use, just a little bit. You don't want to stuff it too much because it will end up being real thick. I just want it to keep the shape, so I'm not gonna fill it up real full. So just like this. Okay, so we have the horn and we have the ears. Now we need to sew it on. Get your hoodie. Make sure that you have your hood rolled back, just so you don't sew your horn too close and then this part cannot lie down nicely. Then you find your space, so you have your middle line here. Put your horn on it, wherever you decide to sew it onto, and just sew it on nicely around. And then you can do exactly the same with the ears wherever you feel that you want them. I'm gonna have a real hard time sewing it on when I'm sitting at the table, so I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna put it over my knee, the hood, and that's how I sew it on. I have my knee inside here, and then I just sew it on nicely around. So I will see you when I sew it on, and we can do then the mane of the hood. Okay, so my ears and my horn are sewn on. They look about like this. And I need to put some hair or the mane around the horn. So I take my yarn. I'm just going to use some scraps that I have, some leftovers. And I will do a slip knot. And I will chain 13. Now you can make them longer or shorter, whatever you like. So they are going to be about this long, not very long at all. You can make it longer. The longer chain you make, the longer your hair will be. So I'm going to do 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to skip one chain and I'm going to do 2 single crochets into each of the chains made. I'm gonna have 24 single crochets. Just two single crochets in each chain. Just like that. All the way to the end. That is the last part, probably one of the easiest ones. And my last chain, I'm gonna put 2 single crochets. I'm gonna chain 1 and I'm gonna cut my yarn. Pull the hook out. And this is what you have. You might have to help it curl up a bit, just like that. Then you take your hood and you connect it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to find a little place just right at the very horn. I'm gonna catch one of the strands that is left. I'm gonna pull it out under, and I'm just going to make a knot. Just a normal knot. It's really tight. Do it a couple of times so it doesn't come out. And then I'm just going to cut the leftover yarn here. I have a few colors here that I'm going to use. I'll do a purple next. I'm gonna go right next to it. Catch the yarn. Pull it out. And tie. And I'm gonna do this all the way around the horn. As close as I can so I don't leave spaces. I'm gonna put maybe a light pink one to the next little spot. Choose whatever colors you like. Unicorns can take any color that you have. And cut. And you only need to do is to finish it all the way around the horn with all the hair. And I'm running out of time now, so I'm not gonna finish that. You're gonna see in the what it looks like. You already did see that in the very beginning of this video. So this is it. We are finished. I hope you liked it. I hope you understood everything. And well, I'm gonna wish you a very nice day, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.